Heyo everyone, welcome back to Streetball AllStars. Today, we'll be breaking down the Pure Pass PG White. Let's go and get into it. So firstly, let's talk about what White actually is. So as I've said earlier, White is a Pure Pass point guard. And he has a variety of skills which helps him do his job properly. But firstly, let's take a look into his abilities and to his multiple stats. So looking here into his stats, you can see that he has pretty mediocre stats, to be honest. You know, he has 51 3-point shot ability, he has 53 mid-range on his stat. That's not really that good, even for a point guard. That's not actually that much, but it isn't the worst thing in the world. So as you can see here on his on these four stats, he has a decent amount put into them. You know, 64 steal, that's actually really good. That's one of the best in the game. Yeah, 63 dribble, it's about what you'd expect from a point guard. 71 pass, that's actually really good, one of the highest in the game as well. He has 67 speed as well. Now, just a warning, this actually is pretty misleading. White is actually fairly slow. I'd say even slower than Neko, which is saying something. So yeah, that's just a warning if you do plan on using White. He is a pretty slow point guard. 67 speed may seem pretty decent, but White really is pretty slow. So keep that in mind. So with this stuff in mind, what I do actually recommend giving White is just pure steal. You know, it doesn't boost your speed, it doesn't boost your shooting power, it doesn't really boost your passing ability either, but it is one of the most important things that White can actually do with a set of skill that he has, which we'll get onto later. But yeah, I do recommend that you give White pure steal. The higher it is, the better, especially since, again, the skill that I'm talking about will actually boost it even more. So yeah, I'd say give White pure steal. However, if you don't want that, give him pure speed. That works as well. Now, looking here into his various skills, you can see that his exclusive skills are mostly pass oriented, which is really nice. But let's get into these skills one by one. So firstly, we have alley-oop. Honestly, it's not really needed. You activate it a lot accidentally, and it's fairly easy to block for pro players, so I don't really recommend that you get this skill. I'd say it's not worth your time. Next up, we have dive. Very much important, your most important skill as a point guard. Make sure to get this as soon as possible and max it out. Next up, we have quick fill-in. Not really that needed. It isn't really, you know, something that you need per se, but very nice to have still. So get it if you want to. That's your choice. Not a bad skill to have. Now, we have bounce pass. This also very, very important, especially since you're a point guard. You're one of the only characters that other point guards will have a hard time trying to steal the ball from. So make sure to get bounce pass as well. Now, we have pinpoint pass. Very important skill. Very, very important skill. It just allows you to do so much as a point guard. It just helps you so much with avoiding the ball from getting stolen, from giving out bad passes, and it's definitely something that White needs. Now we have flash pass. You know, flash pass, this is White's most important skill. It just helps you out so much with different strategies. This is where pass back Camille or pass back Chur actually works the best with, I mean. This is also where you can actually use to do a separate dunk spam tactic, so that's very important as well. Make sure to get this and make sure to max it out as soon as possible. Now, we have intercepting pass, his second level 4, and the reason why I want you to get pure steal. This is because When upgraded to level 4, it gives you 25% intercepting probability. It just adds so much. That means the more steel you have, even the better it is. It just makes it so that passing on your direction, even though you don't have proactive steel, it's still very dangerous. Personally, I haven't really seen success with this yet, even with my steel, pure steel build, but with Ace, I'm hoping that, I get even better results, and that's what I'm working towards with on this alternate account that I have. We're going to be doing max steel white, and again, even though I've said before, I haven't seen that much success, I still think this is going to be your best strategy with white. You're going to want to give him pure steel to boost his intercepting pass ability. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into a match and look at some skills that I've used on that match, and at the same time, we'll talk some more about white. Alright, so firstly, let's talk about the teammates that you're actually going to want to get or to pair up with white. So there are multiple ways that you can actually use white effectively. You can use him if you're teamed up with a dunker and a big. He'll be pretty effective if you pair him up with someone like Alto, someone like Edward, someone like even Zachary might work. So that is one of the ways that you can actually pair white with. You can pair him with a dunker and a big. But in my opinion, the most useful white is if you pair him up with a pure shooter. So that means he'll be best paired up with someone like Camille. Sure, someone like Marcus or Fire King. He pairs really well with those kind of characters. Julian as well. They are very, very useful when you actually pair white with them. So that is the best teammates that you can give white. What you're actually going to want to avoid though is to team up white with some characters who pass a bit too much, who relies too much on passing back to their teammates. Someone like Randy, someone like Silverwolf. Those are the kind of characters that you're not going to want to pair white up with. So avoid teaming up with those kind of characters and team up with pure shooters or pure dunkers. Next up, we're going to talk about your matchups. Who are you going to want to actually fight or avoid with white? And honestly, you don't really have anyone that you want to avoid or you want to actually face. White is a pretty, let's say, mediocre point guard compared to others. That means he doesn't really have a weakness, but he doesn't really have an advantage either. So you can pair white up with, or you can actually fight others with white pretty finely with whoever they use. You might struggle a little bit against faster opponents, someone like Jessica, maybe Mary. They might be able to overwhelm you a little bit, but overall I'd say you don't really have an advantage or disadvantage towards certain characters, so you can pretty much play white properly with whoever you are actually facing off against. I suppose if we're getting technical, players like Camille, Marcus, those sort of characters that pass back a lot, they might be a bit more vulnerable to white because of his higher intercept rate. But, even then, it's not really that much. But yeah, that is probably the ones that you're going to want to face off against the most. Now, lastly, we'll talk about his placing on the meta. And how difficult he is to actually use. White isn't really that difficult to use. His only real technical move is Flash Pass, which is pretty easy to activate. You do need to actually do it properly with the correct timing, but other than that, White isn't really that hard to actually use. And in terms of meta, he's not really meta. He's one of the most unused PGs in the entire game. I'd say he's actually underused. I think he's actually a very decent point guard, but overall, against other meta point guards, he does struggle a little bit, but yeah, White is still very much useful. So anyways guys, that's it for this video. I hope that it's been helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.